Good morning to everybody. And today's topic, which actually I'm going to show you, that is the role of hams in the emergency or the disasters. As you can see in my slides, and my presentation is there, of course. And I will just will let you know that I'm one of the most veteran ham, and got my license in 1972. And my name is Jayant S. Bhide, having the call sign now VU to JAU. I was also in Tanzania, having call sign with the 5 Hotel 3 Santiago, Boston, 5H3SB, where I did this ham radio operations uh, for about 4 years and continuously very active over there and had many QSOs from that place. As well as when I came back to India in 1985, then I have started my old call sign as a VU to JAU. And since then, I'm very much actually involved in many disasters of the emergency communication, providing communication during the Himalayan car rallies, as well as the Himalayan desert rallies, and the other disasters like the Nepal earthquake or the Gujarat earthquake, and many others, of course. And whenever, of course, we need, we are actually required there, we are always ready to provide our services during the disasters. So these are some of the things actually which actually I just wanted to let you know. I am also past national coordinator for the disaster communication in India for Amateur Radio Society of India, which is the only registered body in ITU and IRU. And actually India now falls under the region 3, because whole of the globe has been divided into 3 regions: region 1, region 2, and region 3. So India is actually in the region 3, where all the Japan, Australia, Russia, and all these countries are there with us. So this is actually the main thing. Another thing is, we will start now the presentation, and my presentation actually includes what the hams who are going over there and who are helping the people over there, what should they do and what should not be done by them. Because you should always think about the positive way, and you should solve the problems, and always ready to get the problems from the other people also as well. So we start with the what is the emergency communication. As everybody knows about it, it is planned or unplanned occurrence or event which requires action by the emergency service personnel to prevent or minimize loss of life or the damage to property and natural resources. Clearly, during the large events, normal communication channels can become overloaded by the sorry information or the traffic, because there are many people. Everybody is actually normally trying to contact their people on mobiles and other channels also, and they are overflown. So that's why sometimes those channels cannot work and the people are unable to contact their people, personal people also. So that's why we are always there to help them. And this can be actually observed if you might have seen when actually one disaster actually occurred during the uh, Mumbai bomb blast in the locals, and everybody was trying to call their home on a mobile, and that whole that channel was actually overloaded. The complete channel was overloaded, and that's why nobody was actually able to contact their home that way. And that's why during that period, hams were very useful to provide their help and set up their stations over there and contacted every person, and they have solved the problems over there. So this is actually what we are doing, and we should be able to understand where to set up the station and how to control the people and how to handle the traffic also as well. The messages are more important. You should be able to give the priority which message it should be given in the first place or the second place, and then of course you can decide and then the transmit. These are some of the actually photographs which actually I'm showing you during the disasters. All the hams have provided their services. This was actually Gujarat earthquake, then the Morbi flood in 1979, and you can see I was actually operating, sitting in the center of, along with the Jimmy Mistry, late Jimmy Mistry, and Christopher view to KIT. And of course, we three were there of course, for many days, and we have provided the communication. Then the Odisha cyclone is also there is photograph, and this was during the 2005 tsunami. Now, what is the role of the amateurs? To support the emergency management community, as you know, when there are actually hams and who are actually going over there to provide their services to the community, and they are most important people actually there, and they should be known their responsibility during that period, and they should understand to whom to contact and whom should not be contacted, and how to get the messages from them. Amateurs are not actually the emergency response team. We cannot provide the first aids. We cannot provide transport the victims, as well as we cannot. We don't provide the traffic control also, and we don't provide any other functions normally provided by the public safety personnel. And the safety people, of course, they are doing their work. So why should we actually indulge into their work? So we should do our work uh, trans, to transport or the transmit the messages from one place to the other place, and give the proper instructions to them. So we are actually meant for the communication, and we should do that work only. Normal public services systems are overloaded, and that's why they don't work. So we are always helping them. We does not, why we are actually successful, because we does not rely on the common carriers and the phone companies. There's all those other people who are actually operating the different channels. They have been given only one channel or the one frequency, and they are actually operating on that frequency, which is almost overloaded, because they cannot move from that place to the other place, or that channel to the other channel, or the frequency cannot be changed over there. But we have got many options with us. We have got many frequencies with us, that is 1.5 to 30 megahertz, 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz, and on HF and VHF and UHF also. So that's why we are more successful. We can move ourselves from one place to the other place, or one frequency to the other frequency, and we can VHF, UHF can also be operated. And during that period, of course, so we can also use a satellite. Is these days of those satellites are also available, so we can understand which satellite is possible, and those VHF, UHF can also be used over there in using the satellite. And we are also distributed throughout the community, as you know, that we don't have any differences between us, and we are actually distributed among the community, so we can go anytime and any place without any disturbance, and that's why we are always ready. And regardless of the make and model or of our equipment, we can communicate, because we don't rely on the latest equipments or the oldest equipment, but we can handle all types of equipments. If one has got some different problems, and of course we can set up, the problem can be solved, and of course we can operate the station also. There are many incidences which actually happened when we actually hams have actually set up the navy and this force equipments, when they are actually were not working, because we are actually doing all the things from the software, hardware, and actually repairing our equipments, as well as the setting up the antenna. So that's why every time actually we are telling the people actually who are actually trained for the disasters, whenever you are going in any disaster or the emergency communication, you are all alone over there, and you should understand that you are the only person. There is nobody with you to help you. You have to set up your antenna, you have to set up your equipment, you have to also control the traffic, as well as to pass the messages from one place to the other place. And this is most important part, which actually uh, provide a quality in all the hams, and we can understand which actually community can be handled nicely, and what is happening around us. So this type of actually equipments, actually we are using small transceivers which can run on the car batteries also, and or the solar batteries. So they are actually possible to operate on the low power or the high power. If you can work on the low power, that is possible. Then of course it is advantageous to you, because the battery will run for a longer time. So that you have to save the battery for a longer time. you have to run on a low power. Now, each operator is licensed ham in varying levels. As you know, VE2 and VE3, we have got two categories of the licenses in India. So that's why there are two different types of categories for the operators, and we have got the valid license to operate. And each operator routinely uses the privilege to practice the ability to communicate via radio. And because we are regularly operating our stations, we are regularly having a contact with other people also. So we are habitual of operating habits and operating communication systems also as well. So we never fail during the disasters as well. And we uses the general operating practices to communicate on repeaters also, as well as on HF also, high frequencies also. So when we are actually entering into the contest or the competitions, and we also understand how much fast actually the communication can be done, and in minimum time, maximum contacts are possible, and that is actually very useful during the disasters, because in minimum time you have to pass on the maximum messages and pass on the messages, so that the whatever the uh, condition you are available with you, that is ionospheric condition, so that can be used for a maximum time, and the maximum utilization is possible during that period. And that's why that depends on our skills and the endurance. So field days also offer us some qualities to cover that practice in setting up under unusual conditions, as I told you, because you are the only person where you, when you are going into the disasters, you have to set up your station as well as to erect the antennas also, and pass on the messages also from one place to other place. So that's why we are habitual of doing all these things, and field days are actually we are conducting, because to practice everybody and to get it into our habits also. Public service events also let us practice flexible communication, and that's a flexible means, of course, you have got many frequencies to operate. So these are some of the things actually which we should be keep into mind and actually operate during the disasters, and that are very these are actually very much helpful during the disasters. As everybody knows that we are always ready with little time or the no prior warning also, and we can always handle the disasters while going over there. So when actually reaching over there in the disaster place or the communication, providing the emergency communication, we have got many organizations around us, and as everybody knows it, that we have to handle each and every person, because there are doctors also, there are government officials also, administration is also there. So that's why you should be able to understand those people very well, and you have to give the importance to particular people, and also uh, understand how the messages can be transferred, and which message is more important for them to be given from one place to the other place. And multiple nets also help us during these things, and portability and ability to be operational, because we are actually using our small equipments, and of course we can operate with a short amount of time also. So that's why we should be able to understand how the equipments are working over there. That develops our leadership as well as the teamwork, because we are actually taking all the people with us, and the leadership what the decision can be taken, and the initiative, that is what actually the what is the important, and what is the importance of the proper messages to be given from the one person to the other person, or the officials can be handled. Emergency communicators look for the specific stations to control as contact. As you know, that we have to pass the traffic from one place to the other place at particular place, of course, that is required. When actually we are in the disaster place, we have to contact some official administrative officers or the government officials, and that should be at a place where actually the help can be given from that place. So that is what actually we are using. We are actually always looking out for the stations where they have actually set up, and we are contacting those stations every time. And this actually happens in all the disasters, when actually we have actually experienced uh, uh, this situation, during the Nepal earthquake also, and we have to contact the particular people in like Bangalore or so to pass on the message from Kathmandu to Bangalore or Hyderabad or so other south places. So that's why we have to find out the particular person who can handle the traffic. Well, uniqueness of emergency communications. Actually, we have got some unique points which actually you should keep into your mind also as well, because we are always ready to help in the disasters with a minimum time. Of course, we don't have any proper warning. If you can say that if you are getting a warning for about 15 days before or so, but we don't get that warning. We are always actually on the immediate or the little or no prior warning. We are always ready to help over there, and that's why we are very much successful, and because we are prepared for that, Mandita. So this is more important. May handle several key organizations, as I told you earlier also, because many organizations are working around you. Like the government officials are also there, some collectors, district collectors, and commissioners, and many people are there. And of course, you have to handle all types of people and all types of traffic as well. And you have to decide what actually the messages or the traffic is more important to send first on the first priority or the second priority. And that of course a good opportunity for the hams to develop the leadership as well as the teamwork, because we are taking everybody with us. And that's why we are able to understand and take the initiative during that period. We have got the portable equipments also with us, and during that period, of course, in a short amount of time we can operate those equipments also with no prior warning or so there, because we are always ready with the standby equipments also. When one equipment is failed, immediately another equipment will be switched on, and we never fail during that period, and we are always prepared so that we will be able to handle with no loss of time. So this is more important. Emergency communicators always look for specific stations, as everybody knows that if I want to contact from Gwalior to Mumbai, so of course you should be able to locate the particular station in Mumbai, where of course this message will be reached and will be actually passed on to a particular person in without loss of time. So actually always we are hams, being a hams, we are distributed in all cities and everywhere, so we can actually control them, and we can immediately operate and reach the message to the particular person in that city. So we just find out particular the stations in the contact while we are actually in contacting. Operations could, as you know, that these types of operations could continue for many days. As I know that in during the Nepal earthquake or the Morbi disasters also, it was actually continued for months, and about 15 days to 20 days and months also. So we don't know how long the operation will be continued, and you should be prepared for that. Your people around you or your family and all the other hams also, they should be ready to face all these problems also, because uh, all the time the things are actually happening in the real time, and that's why they are real, so they are not fake, and that's why you should be able to understand the importance of emergency communication. We also require some non-amateurs also, those who are not license holders. As you know, we have to keep the record of complete communication system, and all those 15, 20 days or whatever the period is communication is going on. We are keeping all that record completely with us. I still have got a complete list of all those dates and lost people, and those who are actually not actually traceable. Those people also are still with me when actually Nepal earthquake actually occurred, and I am still keeping that one with me. Many times it happens that uh, uh, this uh, some of the people, they will ask you how many people are dead and how many people are actually you are not actually mentioning. So you should be very careful while actually giving a particular figure, and always you get a chance to improvise yourself, and ability is also improved every time to time when each and every person actually involved in the disasters. What do we require actually? We require actually valid ham license and the sincere desire to help. This is most important part of it. Sincere desire to help, because you should be ready to help over there. When you go there, when you see the pictures over there, you can't just say uh, how the picture will be there. That will be a drastic, and of course it will be a terrific picture over there. Many people are actually lying with the bleeding from their body, and many people are actually dead also there. So you just can't understand, and you should keep yourself in control. And of course you should be able to help each and every person over there. And where actually their relatives are there, you have to pass on the message to them, and to get the proper information. Then there are many volunteer organizations around you, and of course you can actually work as a emergency communicator coordinator also. And typical activities when on HF and VHF also nets we are operating. So we are always happy and ready to work during the disasters, because weekly nets are working and drills are also going on, and self-activating for that amateur radio emergency service leader can activate the group also. You can also prepare your group, and of course you can go there and of course help them. But of course you should have a proper person and proper people, of course, who are actually really desire to help during the disasters. Now, what are our actual primary responsibilities for an event is amateurs are there to help, and models. We are actually keeping ourselves as a model for operations, because we have got a very good operating habits, and a standardized structure also is there. So that's why we actually don't uh, leave our place or leave the message, whatever that may be. And of course, we are actually in control with our communication systems also. So that's why we should be able to handle the messages many times with the many people also. And the public information, of course, never make a statement to the media, because media is always asking you what is actually the condition over there and what the pictures is going on. So you should be able to understand uh, the what actually the authentic picture to be given, or what figure should be given to them. And if not possible, then don't give them any picture or any figure. Only talk about the amateur radio. And this is actually more important, because media can change your message also, and can give an adverse picture to the public also. So that's why you should be very much careful while actually uh, handling with the media people also. Then there are two types of messages, as you should know, and of course, this is actually most important part, because one is the formal and another one is informal. The formal message is the passing traffic on behalf of the third agency. The agency which is actually giving the message to you, they are writing in their own hands on the paper, and they are giving it to you. So those formal messages are more important, which actually you should not change, and you cannot change, even editorize also. And that's why it's important that the message should be transmitted as it is written over there. If you don't understand the message, you should read it, and try to understand and ask for the clarification also. And that is more important. Another one is informal message. Suppose somebody is asking you to give them a help, and you are writing a message on with your own hand. Then of course this message in informal message, which actually you are writing with your hand, so you can editorize it also, and also you can change the message, or you can make the message just like to understand the other person also. So this is important for the formal and informal messages, how to handle the people, and how to handle the messages as well also. Don't make any changes in the messages. And uh, if you are the originator of the message, of course you can change, and you can clarify to the people also as well. It's important to say that the little is possible, and but get the message across, because our main intention in the ham radio, particularly in the disaster and the emergency communication, you have to use the time whatever actually is available to you for a better way. And you have to uh, uh, give your statement in the minimum words to provide the maximum information in minimum time. So this is more important because you don't know when the condition will change all of a sudden, and your signal is reaching to the other person, and all of a sudden the signal will be lost. So whatever the time you are getting or whatever the conditions are available to you should be able to use that condition as much as possible, and that's why you have to speak in a less with the less words in a and maximum messages or the traffic can be transferred. There are some rules, of course. Brevity and clarity is also required in while you are speaking. You should speak very clearly. Your words and each and every alphabet should be very clear. And if they don't understand, then of course you can use the ITU phonetics, as everybody knows about the International Telecommunication Union phonetics. We hams are always using them, and Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, like everybody knows about it. So they should be used during that period. Don't make your own phonetics. So these some of the important things, and try to listen as much as possible. This is the best habit for actually an operator who is going into the disaster. Now this is a picture of a disaster actually. What can happen in the disaster when the disaster actually happens? The communication is the first casualty, and that's why you are required over there, and you are the most important person during the disaster or the emergency. Now, communication, as you know, everybody, that is, it's a two-way exchange of ideas and information using fewest word to completely define the thoughts and one complete task or thought at a time. And that's why you are successful, and you should be successful. You should be unemotional also as well. As I told you again in the last slides also, because the pictures in the disaster uh, place is it very different what actually you are thinking over here, and that's why you should be unemotional, and you should control yourself, and your mind is also to be controlled under you. So that's why this is important thing for the person actually who is going into the disasters. Now, incident scenes are not about the radios or being ham. You cannot discuss many things about the radios also, but they are about the incident, what is happening over there. So you should actually be able to handle the incident, what is happening over there, and you can get the message, particularly of that incident, and to pass on the message to the other place. Either you can be a part of the problem or you can be a part of the solution. Better, I think the second thing is more important, that is you should be a part of the solution, because you are always actually thinking to solve all the problems with you, whatever actually is happening or coming to you, and you should be able to understand how to this problem can be solved very easily and without any loss of time also. Whatever the messages you are receiving or the contents you are having, they should be kept private, and you cannot reveal the contents of the messages to anybody even after the incident is over. And this is an important part, because as I told you, I still have got many messages and many information with me of the Nepal earthquake, which actually happened about many years back, of course 3 4 years back, but actually we are still keeping that record with us. And of course, that is required for some time if anybody wants it. Of course, anybody means, of course, the particular official. And because lots of people are monitoring you, as you know, that when you are operating on the radio, so anybody can monitor you, anybody can listen to you, particularly a general public can also listen to you. And the media people, particularly, they are also listening to you. So they can change the message, whatever actually you are saying, and a adverse picture can be given to the public in the newspaper or the TVs also. So you should be very careful about that. It may be possible that you might receive a portion of the message. If you are receiving a message from somebody else, then don't if you don't get the message completely, then you should be able to understand what actually is the full content in the message, and you can ask the person to give the complete message. Otherwise, the rumors and the speculations will be there, and people will uh, call it as it's not a proper way to communication. Stick to the passing messages. Don't go to the other things, and always stick to the passing messages, whatever the messages you are getting. And you should see that these messages should be approved by the officials before sending them. and keep a log of all the traffic. This is also one of the important things which actually you should keep the log, and logbook it should be maintained with you also. Then confidence to execute the required process in the minimum amount of time, as I told you again. The minimum amount of time you should pass on the maximum messages, or the maximum traffic should be conveyed. And that's why you should be confident about that thing. Learn before the skills are needed, and that is more also important, as well as everything whatever actually you will see, you are seeing in the my slides. They are very much important for actually when you are going into the disasters also. And support, always try to support on one another and operate as a cohesive unit. You are, all people are actually you should work cohesively, and of course they should not actually discard any person over there, because every person is very helpful during that period. And you should keep your ID cards with you, like the ham radio license, the driving license, civil defense IDs, or any other IDs. And also, if you have got your blood group, that should also be kept, because in emergencies blood groups are always required. You should know what is the blood group you are having in your body. There are some hot zones also where actually you should be very careful while moving around, and very hazardous materials are lying over there. So you should not go there. Stay out unless instructed. Otherwise, there will be a problem for you, because you are the important person. As time to time, I am telling you, you are the main communicator and you are the main important person. You should keep yourself safe. And if you are safe, then of course the communication is 100% possible. So that's why actually every time I'm telling you, don't become a part of the problem, but become a part of the solution. Always test your techniques and the equipments also, handies and walkie-talkies, earphones, all you should keep with you, and antennas also. If one antenna is not working, then the other antennas can also work. So you should keep some spare batteries and spare antennas and spare equipments also. And always use PTT, that is praise to talk. Don't use voice operation, because voice operation gives some problem also. And PTT, of course, you can leave it in between, and you can listen also if somebody is transmitting at the same moment. So that is more helpful while using the PTT. And fixed operators use mobile radios and deep cycle batteries, so that they will last long, because batteries you have to keep for a longer time. And always treated as a co-worker. Safe working environment you should keep around you. Suitable assignments are required, and know as much as possible about the people, policies, and procedures and programs, because there are many types of people. So you should be able to understand about them and what they are doing and what their activities are. So you should be able to understand what is happening around you also. Then participate in activities. Of course, we are always participating in quality training also, and be hard and have an active part in planning. So you should be understand what is actually in the disasters. And of course, awards and recognitions are always there. So you are not to work. And of course, these are some of the things actually which actually we have given on the communication during some crowd controlling in the Mahadev Mela in Pachmadi also, and the Databandi Chod in Gwalior Fort also. So some of the things are very important. While, as I told you, that crowd controlling is also one of the part of the disasters, because anything can happen during that period. And we have handled many emergency messages during that period, and emergency situations also happened during that period also. As I told you, there are many satellites also. We can use satellites during the emergencies. Like for the communication satellites, of course, AO 91, 92, 95, SO 50 is also there, AO 85 is also there, and many satellites are there. Of course, you can find out the satellite which is passing during that period, and you can use for communication during the disasters also. There are weather satellites also, so you can find out the pictures also from the weather. What will be happening in the next few hours or so, days also. So you can given a caution to warning to the officials what will be happening during that period also. And some research satellites are also there, like the ISS and the International Space Station. So these are some of the pictures actually which actually I am showing you in my presentation, and that's why these are important. And these balloons, of course, you have seen on the airport, of course, where actually they are showing these balloons with what speed the air will be blowing over there when actually aeroplane is taking off or the landing. So the plane should understand what speed there should be and what is the air actually flowing over there. So these are balloons are actually indicator for those things. There are many people actually who are running some training programs for the disasters. We actually had some training programs for the disaster training, and in Pachmadi also we did it for the 2 3 times. In Gwalior also we did it for many times. In Patna also I did it, and we are what actually we require, of course, more than 70 or 60 people, students are required, and we are making them a different group. Like the first aid group is different, then the communication group is there, then the casualties are also there. So a group of people are, of course, they are actually treated as a casualty, and we are always telling them that you had an injury over here in the feet or the head or somewhere else, or you are dead. Also, some of them, and that's why actually they are behaving like that during the disaster. Then the media people are also there. We are making some media students who can handle the communication, who can handle the messages during the disasters also. And what is the role of the media during the disaster? This is also important part, which is being actually given the training during the program also. Then there are ambulances also, and ambulance, how to handle the casualties from moving from one place to the other place. There are some different types of sirens also there for the ambulance. When actually the ambulance is empty, a different type of siren will be there, and when it is carrying the casualty, then a different type of siren will be there. That has been taught it during the training program also there. Then some medication, immediate medical help, and some photography, video, and uh, still photography people are also there. So we are making different types of group, and we are actually giving them a training for about 6 to 7, 5 to 6 days. On the seventh day, of course, we are actually conducting a live program on the ground, and where actually a real picture can be actually given there, and people are, those teams actually are working over there, and they are actually forming, just showing them that the real disaster has happened and what actually they can do and how the situation can be handled very easily. So this type of programs can be done anywhere, any place, if we want to conduct. The main thing is that the as the amateur radio, operators is a lot like a trying to herd the cats. If you can control the cats, because cats are always running here and there, so it's very difficult to control them. But if you can control the cats, that means, of course, you can handle everything. So the amateurs are very, of course, easy to control themselves. So this is what actually my presentation is, and I hope so that you have enjoyed this presentation and my talk also. And I hope so that there are many questions. Of course, I am ready to answer those questions also. If possible, you can ask anytime, anywhere. And thanks a lot to you. And thanks a lot to Vilas Rabde and all the Pune Hams for actually inviting me for this program and this tech talk also. Thank you.